Hi folks, so woke up not too long ago, so do mind the morning voice and a bit of the puffy-eyedness. I just don't want to lose the feeling of this feeling, the insight of this feeling, or the energy of this feeling, or the presence, the space of this feeling, if you will. I don't know, for the last week or so, there's been something that has been really, troubling me. And I mean, more so, it always troubles me from time to time, and that is, my loneliness, my lack of connection with like-minded people. The lack of, I feel, fellowship, the lack of support. And I've spoken about this before. But I don't know. I mean, I just can't believe how few people I connect with. I had a previous channel, my previous channel, Aaron G, 14,500 subscribers. A lot of them people subscribed I knew to videos such as Terence McKenna, Manly P. Hall, Jordan Peterson, Dr. Gabor Mate, Neil Kramer, many others that I've uploaded over the years. And I knew that most people, that's why they subscribe to my channel. And I started this new channel, Mystify Me, and I've managed to get 95 subscribers, I think, so far. And it kind of just goes to show that very, very few people were actually connecting with my own personal videos, my own private my own personal, message, and whatever it was. And I knew that to be the case. I actually thought maybe I'd probably get less subscribers. I'd probably get like 30 or 40 or 50 or something like that. And anyways, so it just goes to show, just another example, like even people coming across Terence McKenna or different kind of people didn't necessarily connect with me. And that's what it is. And so I've even found that even my subscribers now on YouTube, that let's say I've got 95 subscribers, that I probably only connect with about 10 or 15 of you, right? And that's a very small number. That's a very, very small number. It might even be smaller than that. And I think to myself, like, how rare it is to connect with somebody, to find that connection with somebody. How rare it actually it is when you're, I don't know, on this path, on this journey, if you will. Again, one of the things I spoke about before is that, well, if you're on this noble path, if you're on this self-discovery, if you're on this awakening, or this consciousness, or this authentic journey, or whatever it is you want to call it, then I got to put off the shucks. Somebody might call me. I didn't put my. Sorry, folks. I hope this doesn't interrupt the recording. I just want to put this on flight mode so nobody calls me. And when you're on this journey, it's like there's a lot of things that you, like I mentioned before, there's many foods that I can't eat. There's many places that I can't go to. There's many things that I can't really, hold down a proper job. There's many things I can't do that I'm sensitive to in this, in the world, that doesn't align with me, right? And doesn't agree with me. Even city doesn't really, many things. And one of the things that's very hard to do, like, I can't drink the water, like I mentioned, there's many things. But one of the things is that I can't just find like-minded company. Like, I can't, and I do. I feel absolutely left out. I've spoken about my lady friend. We've been together for a long time, but we don't really connect, on deeper levels. In fact, I feel often very frustrated talking to her because I feel like I'm sharing such depth, such richness. And for her, it's just kind of another conversation a lot of the time. She doesn't really know how to be there for me to, to ask questions, to inquire, to reflect back to me. And that's very difficult, as you folks know. It's very, very hard to very seldomly get a reflection back on you, or an agreement on your existence, on your being, or whatever it is. My mom phoned me the other day and she was having trouble with her husband, my brother, her son, whatever it was, and certain other things not feeling. And like I gave it back to her, we're rather close. And I explained to her, even previous, well, you felt this way before. Do you remember 2 weeks ago when your husband said this, or my brother said this to you, or whatever it might have been, your accountant let you down. And I give it back, and she's like, yeah, you're right. This has happened before. This is how I dealt with it before. I didn't deal with it before, and this is maybe how I can approach it now. And this is maybe why it's going on. They're acting from a subconscious, they're acting from fear, they're acting from whatever it might be. And she's like, oh, I understand it. It makes sense. And thank you for reflecting to me who I am and who I have been in with past challenges and experiences and whatever it is. And, and where I place myself and how much I've grown. Like I'll say to her, but do you remember that, you used to just sort of shy away from that. You were non-confrontational about it. You didn't assert yourself. And now look at you, look how assertive you are. Look how proud you are. Look how, remember how self-critical you were, how, sort of insecure, all these different things in general. And she's like, yes, yes, yes. And I feel that I'm empowering her. And she's like, really, you can see that helps her growth tremendously. You can see that without my reflection in her life, because she's got no one else really, without that reflection on her, that she's not going to have grown as much. I don't believe it. I really don't believe it. And so we are a necessity to one another, to reflect to one another who we are, where we stand, how far we've come. It's an agreement. It's an agreement of soul. I recognize your being. I recognize your truth. I recognize your becoming, I recognize your efforts, right? Your love, your time, your space, who you are as an individual. I don't just see you on the surface of things, but I feel you deeply. And I journey with you in your experiences. In your heartaches, I'm there with you. In your moments of falling in love, I'm there with you. In moments of enlightenment, of consciousness, I'm there with you. I stand with you. In your dark nights of the soul, I am with you. We are one in that way. We are a partnership. We are, together in that way. That, I would say, is more of the real definition of we are one, so to speak. We can't be one with psychopaths, narcissists, ciphers of the Matrix, Agent Smiths. We can't be one on this platform, on this level. There is no such thing, right? So that's what I'm saying, is that we're there to help each other integrate our experiences, integrate our insights, or whatever it is. I mean, I remember when I first took ayahuasca and the shaman said, don't speak to people who don't know anything about psychedelics about your experience, especially, like when you're still fresh from the experience. And I tried not to, because for them it was like, oh, how was ayahuasca? What did you learn? Not even what did you learn, but like, did you lose your mind, or did they pickpocket you while you were, while you were unconscious, or while you were sort of running around, whatever it was. Even with the messages that you say, it's like, I don't feel you. Now I remember the story of in the movie My Dinner with Andre, where his friend, I can't remember his friend's name. And he says about like how I came back from visiting, I'm just going to make it up because I can't remember exactly, but the essence is there, the message is there. He says, and I came back from visiting my parents that were very, very ill. And I came back to the studio, the stage, and I was going through a very, very hard time. It wasn't just that, he came from, he was having a very, very troubled time on many, many areas of his life. And he finally came back to the studio to work again. And when he came in, people were like, wow, so good to see you. You've got such a tan, because he was in a tropical country or something like that. You look so good. Your tan is amazing, and the shirt that you're wearing and whatever it was. And he just felt so alone. He felt like, all they saw was the shirt and the tan. They didn't see me. They didn't see me and through what I was going through. Then he explains that another woman whose her aunt just died, she said, oh, are you okay? You don't look all right. And he says, she saw me because she was, had her aunt died, and so she was close to something real, But for me, and this was in the 1980s or the 1970s or something like that. But for me, I'm saying, so she felt my pain. She felt where I was holding. Same story, the same guy tells a story. I don't know what his name is. Let's just say his name is Clive. So Clive, he's explaining to Andre, he says, Andre, I've had a photo of my wife in my wallet since we were married, which is now about, say, 23 years. And it's a beautiful photo of her when she was young, in her teenager years or early 20s, I can't remember. And she's very voluptuous and her hair is blowing in the wind. It's by the beach and whatever, is very sexy, very attractive. And he says, only a few weeks ago did I pick up that photo and I realized in that photo that she was sad. She was sad. And he says the only thing that I saw was her beauty, because that's what appealed to me the most in that way. I wasn't present enough to understand that, what she was actually feeling and going through. All I saw was what I wanted to see, what was pleasurable to me, what was pleasing to me most of the time. I didn't get the story 100% right, but something like that. And so, like I've spoken about my father can only see a version of myself that he understands, that he can validate in his own dimensional understandings of this reality, Like he doesn't understand a shaman, he doesn't understand a philosopher, a psychologist, a healer, or something like that. A Gnostic, I wouldn't say Gnostic so much, but, or something or other. These words, they don't understand these things. It's like, people can't communicate with animals. We can't put ourselves in animal shoes, and therefore we can hurt them, we can kill them, we can maim them, we can, harm them, whatever it is that we can do, because we can't put ourselves in the expression of somebody else, in the energy of somebody else. We only see each other on the very much the surface level of things, right? Even a father to a son will only say, well, that's my son. Not their role as a father, their responsibility of the father, right? Whatever it is, they can't see that. And they'll think, well, I'm a good father because, well, I've supported my children. I've given them, pocket money or something like that. Or I bought them the presents for Christmas, and, on Halloween, we got all dressed up and things like people, cherry pick their whatever. Anyway, this is not what I want to talk about really, in a way. So in my life, I have felt very alienated, like extremely, like severely, sort of critically alienated. From the get-go, I have felt alienated. Okay, I felt that I have not fitted in, and that I felt like I haven't had people that have had my back, and I felt like I haven't had people that that sort of can love me with all their being, and I can love them with all my being. That people can understand me. I haven't had people that have grown with me. To a degree, my mother, in a way, yes, But only now am I speaking about the powers that be and conspiracy, which is not conspiracy theory, about the establishment and the control. And before, she would have never, because of CV, she would have never listened to me. She would have never wanted to hear me, She would have actually said, I've lost my mind. I could have never spoken. So I do. We speak about those things. We speak about consciousness. But like sometimes she feels like I'm just being, I don't know, troublesome, or I'm projecting. Like I'll talk about maybe her husband, and, well, he's coming from a place of fear or insecurity or an arrested development. And she's like, you're just being nasty, or you may be going too deep. And I'm like, well, it's not that I'm going too deep. It's just that you don't understand me. You don't understand a lot of the time when I talk from a, more of a psychological level, if you will. Anyway, that's not really what I'm saying for myself. I had the experience last night. I don't know if it was a dream or I woke up in the middle of the night, and I felt like almost I experienced a past life. And in this past life, I lived sort of in the country on the farm with a family. I actually had a family. I had a wife, like a healthy relationship. I had children. Now I'm 39 years old. I don't have any of that really. I don't have children. I don't have a wife, so to speak. And what I mean by a wife is not by like how society deems a wife. Where the most important part of your marriage is the wedding day type of thing, and how good you look, or something like that. And then how pretty you are, and all that stuff, and whether the whatever, you know how it is. It's all. I'm not getting to what I'm saying. And so, and children, like I'd long to be a father. I'd long to be a father. And I see guys my age, my old friends, and I see their children, and I think they're doing such a bang up job. They're such terrible fathers. I really feel that. I feel most people my age or within my, I'm 39, so anybody between, like, I would say, probably younger. Most of the people that I know, I just don't feel that they're healthy parents, for those that I do know in my personal life, and what I've seen. Like, I don't know why people, like my cousin has 5 children, just said his wife wanted another child. I don't know why. My brother, he's got 5 children. It's like, why do you want so many? You can't manage it. You just can't manage it. Why do you do it? Well, because the Bible says be fruitful and multiply. We're supposed to do it. It's like, I said, do me a favor. So he's burdened by his, anyway. So I was living in my past life and living a noble life. I had friends down the road, small town, near a small town, good hunting buddies, like real, but needing for hunting and fishing and, I don't know, just a brotherliness towards one another. So I felt like a father. I could educate my children. I don't know if I had boys or girls. It just felt like, I had that feeling. And noble, honest neighbors. There was no such thing as Facebook or Instagram. There was no such thing as social distancing. There was no such thing as potentially having to be mandatory vaccinated or something like that. There was no talk about like, BLMs and whatever it is. There was no talk about pedophilia. There was no talk about Kanye West or, Rihanna or Jay-Z's. There was no talk about, animal cruelty on such a high level. There was no talk about fluoride, or radiation or, something like that, cell phone towers. There was no talk about that. There's no talk about GMOs. There's no talk about like schooling, the educational system which indoctrinates your children, right? I mean, I don't know, there wasn't a religion so much in the energy that I was feeling, There wasn't TV. It was a simple life. It was a long time ago, and it was a simple but noble life. And maybe very limited. But, limited because we didn't have the technology, because we didn't have the internet, so we didn't have, awareness of psychedelics or something like that. So there was limitations, and it wasn't all perfect. And I'm not saying that it was perfect. But what I'm saying, it was an honorable life. It was more of a stress-free life in a way, so to speak. It was more loving. It was more family time. I'm a Cancerian, my star sign, and so I'm family orientated. I don't have a family. I don't have friends. I just don't, I just don't. And in this incarnation, you woke up in the day and it was exciting. To see, to, be with the animals. I don't have any animals in my life. It is such a crying shame. Where I live in my complex, I'm not allowed any animals. I don't have a cat. I don't have a dog. I'm never around animals. I mean, birds, but don't do me a favor. I'm never around animals. Except bloody monkeys, which are tyrants most of the time. So I don't have any pets. I don't have any connection to monkeys. To animals in that way. And my life is less richer for it. You can be sure. There's no question about it. And I feel like when we pass on from this life, that we feel embodied completely into family. I was trying to give the feeling, the space. Do you know, like when it's a cold day, but there's a room that has, sun coming into it, and you go into that room and it's just so warm and cozy, and there's a couch there that you just lie down on, and you just feel the sun's rays, and it's just so wonderful. I don't know, I was thinking like when we die, that we reunite with one another with true consciousness, when we're not separated like we are now, where there is this brotherly sisterhood, brotherness, sister, family, this family, because I think, instead of saying we are all one, right, We say we're all family. We are all family. That's a lot better. Because one means that we are all the same in a way. And though you have a family, the family is not the same. Families aren't the same. I mean, the members of the families are not the same. So instead of saying one, because one is about collectivism, it's about losing your individuality, right? It's about losing your identity in that way and just being, homogenized, one with everybody else, like we're all the same. We are all equal in a certain way. And fundamentally we are, but not in the way that they use the word equal. And so, it's too late for me, I suppose. I feel like I'm going to be, I don't necessarily want to get married, but how does one plan a life going further in the world that we live in today? It's over, baby. It's over. I don't want to have children. I would like to, but I don't. I mean, it is so. We live in a world that is in a nosedive. We know it. We live in a narcissistic, pathological world. And people have lost their minds, have lost their nobility, have lost their sense, have lost their goodness, have lost their connection to the divine in themselves. They've lost their way. They're idol worshippers, in a sense, so to speak, majority of people. Most people are programmed, hypnotized, brainwashed. They're in some kind of trance, in a sense. They have lost their humanity. Most people have lost their humanity. And again, that's what I'm saying. I thought that I would find more like-minded people on this path that I can connect with. And even within the enlightenment and in the conscious circles of things, in the psychedelic peoples and whatever it is, I haven't found. You would think, because again, I don't know, maybe I'm so difficult. Maybe there's just something about me, but I haven't found, like I'm saying, exclusive. It's such an exclusive, small amount of people. It really is that I connect with. But I don't know, maybe I'm tooting my own horn here, but I don't know. I just think that I try and be, I just think it's not, I think this is more black belts, I think that the yellow belts, the brown belts, but I think on the level that I live, I'd like to think that it's more of a black belt level. And I just find that there's very few people on the black belt level, And again, I'm not saying that it's a better than, or I'm higher than. I've just been probably working at it longer. I'm probably an older soul. I mean, I came in feeling this way. I was born feeling this way. I came into this world feeling different, feeling completely unique. I had a massive curiosity for things at a very young age. I was very present as a child. So that's just my thing. And so I don't know. But this world is very, very few black belt people. That's what I'm saying. In the whole billions and billions of people, even in the New Age community, psychedelic community, and things like that. That's what I feel. And so what I'm saying at this time, that we wake up in a world that there is an element of real hell to this dimension that people don't really know about. They're not even connected to it. And again, that's not being negative. I'm just saying for what it is. When we contrast, freedom, peace, love, like I'm saying, contrast what I'm talking about for myself in previous past life, being on a farm with family, with health, connected to the earth, connected to your neighbors, connected to goodness, connected to one's spirit, connecting to the spirits of others, the souls of others, whatever it is, not having to be conditioned by television, not having to have your family members, consumed in their own consumption, living in fear, living in motivated by peer pressure, by wanting to fit in, whatever it is, by what I'm saying, living in a world that's healthy, that's balanced. And you contrast it. When you contrast it, see, most people, they cannot contrast. Most people cannot see, this is hell and this is heaven, or this is freedom and this is slavery. This is good. People can't contrast. Like in Truman could without him even knowing, could contrast a better situation, a better reality for himself. He could contrast it, but most people accept the reality of which they've been presented with, they've been born into. So that's what they take, and that's what they know, and that's what they settle with. But for a conscious individual, again, you can see the duality. You can observe the difference, and you can imagine a better reality, a better world, right? Most people can't. Most people just think that, well, this is what it is, type of thing, and this is normal. Most people think that, there was an old normal, there will be a new normal. That's what they think, right? To a large degree. They think that, children addicted to, iPads and iPhones at the age of 7 years old is normal, type of thing. They think, whatever is going on is normal. In this country, how many people think things are normal, so to speak? Like it's normal in this country to not have a value for life. Like there's no value for life here. I was reading in the newspaper the other day an article, a woman in a wheelchair. I don't know her age. I think maybe she was 70 or 80 years old. Her house was broken into. Her husband was held up. If he moved, they threatened to kill him. They stabbed this woman in the wheelchair. The 70 or 80-year-old woman, they stabbed her in the face. I don't know how you stab someone in the face, in the neck and in the stomach. And then they pushed her into the lounge and let her bleed to death. Serious, I'm not making this up. People, oh, you're making it up. I'm not making it up. I'm not making it up. How do you stab somebody who's in a wheelchair? Who's helpless? Believe me, she didn't have any weapons on her, any guns on her, or anything like that where she could defend herself. Nothing. But this is what you get. Animals don't treat each other this way. We are below animals. Okay? And I can tell you many other stories that have also just... 16 people died in a minibus accident. Potentially the driver was drunk. A mother, a child, and a stillborn. I mean, and it's just the tip of the iceberg of what I'm... Anyway, and people think it's somewhat normal in a way. Well, life's got no value. Life's got no meaning. That's what they think. Like, life is about getting rich or die trying and dying with the most toys. This is what they think. They don't know anything else. They don't realize that, like, living in these, high-rise apartment buildings, whatever, the environments that we live in, they think it's normal. It's not normal. We're not supposed to live this way. We're not supposed to live this way. So the world is completely out of balance, but most people don't know it. But for the sensitive and the conscious individual, they absolutely feel that it's out of balance on so many levels. And they desire more, and that's why there is a suffering in this life. I desire more. I desire a family. I desire a partner. I desire children. I desire a community. I desire a tribe. I desire fellowship, right? I desire to not, this is the tricky thing, to not be in this world in a way. It's like, well, like that song, I don't belong here. Because I'm a creep. But I'm just saying, I don't know that's who sings it. Something, I can't remember. But, you feel like you don't belong here. You feel like you're torn. You feel like, I don't want to be here, but I know this is for my own growth. I know this is for my own becoming. I know this is for a reason and a rhyme that I'm here, but I don't want to be here. We're in such conflict, like we don't want to be here. Such discomfort, just such suffering, just like, you can't deal with this shit. Just sometimes you get so, as I say here in Afrikaans, gatvol. You just get so fed up. You just get so drained. You just get so like depleted by it all. Just the garbage that goes on, the manipulation that goes on, the grandiosity of the people, the narcissism that goes on, whatever it is, just the dysfunctional. It's just like, oh, leave me alone. Like, how can I catch my breath? How do I break out of this? What can I do? And you just feel so drained, and you just feel so overwhelmed by it, and you feel so stuck. Like, how is this going to change for the better? Like, it just seems to be getting worse. In my life, it just seems like, the more that I realize with my lady friend that, like, the more that I realize the less we connect, the more that I feel like I have grown and she has stayed back, and hasn't grown, the more sort of relationship I feel it's sort of more strained. I need to strain the relationship. I need to, like, sort of, almost force myself to be just to come down to her level, to just have the working relationship, in that way. Like, I feel, you know what I mean? Like that. But it's so paper thin. It's like, does she even know how to really be there for me? How to really feel me? Even the people in your lives, they really know how to, compliment you, to give you that feedback, to give you that support, to give you the patience, to give you that understanding, to give you that love. Do they really know how to be there? Or most of the time, you're just having to play a role of a certain character that they are comfortable with, and they, your mask can meet their mask. It's a meeting of masks in that way. And that's what it's about. And it's just so daunting. It's just like sometimes you wake up from a dark night of the soul. I mean, you're in a dark night of the soul, or whatever. You're having experience, or you have a bad nightmare, you have a bad dream, or you have a bad existential moment, or a panic of something, and you want to share it existentially. You want to share your fears. You want to share whatever it might be. And they're just like, there's nobody there. They're not listening. They're tuned into their cell phones. The TV's going on. You're busy trying to speak over all of this content that is being flushed into them. Their diet is so out of whack. They're just not present, and you just don't, like, exist. Your life in itself doesn't feel like it exists. Your relevance of who you are, your story, your narrative, your sufferings, your efforts, whoever you are, doesn't feel like in that moment like it doesn't exist. You feel like a ghost, like a ghost. You feel like you'd be walking this world as a ghost. And that's because we're honoring our feelings, we're honoring our experience, and we can see it for what it is. The unconscious people don't feel like they're ghosts in a way. They feel I've got 1,500 friends on Facebook. I don't feel like a ghost. I've got 2,700 people that's following me on Instagram. I get, 55 likes on my pictures as soon as I upload them within the first hour. I don't feel like a ghost. I got my buddies, we go to the pub, brew, dude, we go and we watch the football together. We got our friends, we got our family friends, we got all. So Meanwhile, it's just an illusion. It's so bankrupt. It's so empty. Like it is. My lady friend with all her friends, she said, I talk about like how I can't find a friend. She says, oh, I can find many friends. I said, I know, because you don't require much from your friends. I said, you just require that you have a few things in common. Like, well, you can talk about what's happening on TV and celebrity lifestyles and whatever fashions. Like I said, you don't require much. You don't need to be there for each other, whatever it is, in that way. Because it's like a colleague relationship, somebody that you work with at your office. It's like, yeah, we get along very well, because you sit in the same office the whole day, but it's not a real relationship. It's a business relationship. It's not real. It's not a real relationship. So for her, she can find so many people, and for me, I say I can't find anyone, because I said, my relationships have to have meaning about it. They have to have substance. I don't know how to be inauthentic. I don't know how to be like, stupefied or whatever it is, and just talk about. So I have somebody who I can go watch a movie with or something. I'd rather go watch a movie by myself, type of thing. I don't know. I'd rather be on my own than have company that is unconscious, or have meaningless conversation. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, people that just, can't, they don't grow with you, and you outgrow. And so for myself, it does. It becomes so despairing at times. It becomes so overwhelming at times. It doesn't look like it's getting any better, baby. It's certainly not getting any better on this level, on this dimension, on this 3D world. It's not getting any better. I don't feel it whatsoever. I think 2020 is just a warm up. 2021, it's gonna, and I don't know. People, they're not prepared for it. They can't manage it. I look at family members of my brothers. It's like they're so overwhelmed already. People are finished. They are at the end of their wits. They're at the end of their line. They are finished. Most people cannot continue much longer. I'm serious. They are so overwhelmed. They are so anxious. They are so stressed. They are so, I don't know what's going to happen. There's so much pressure going on. People are losing their jobs. People can't, inflation. Everything. It's hell. It's hell. I'm telling you, because if you think about life after death, It's a bliss, baby. You're connected. It's peaceful. There's no pain. There's no fear in that way. It's love. It's family. It's unity. It's preservation. You know what? I really believe it. This is the hell, in a way. And for most people, it absolutely is. And we all experience versions of hell being in this environment. Of course, it's hell, so we can also make our way out of it. For a lot of people, it's the suffering and the discomfort is so you can grow and you can evolve. But for a lot of people, they haven't moved at all, that they become so stunted that they don't have the ability to move out of the suffering, out of the hell pit that they're in, the fires of damnation. They can't move out of it. It's like that ship has already sailed. They don't have the ability to. They don't have the know-how. They're so busy trying to plug the holes in their boat, that and a tidal wave is coming just to knock them over, that they don't even have time to get out of the way of the tidal wave, right? They don't have time to get out of the way. People don't have the ability to comprehend, to understand, to manage the times that we are in. They do. For majority, I would say it's absolutely impossible. Majority are so addicted to their own consumption, are so addicted to technology, are so addicted to foods, to pharmaceuticals. They're so lost in their way that and so dependent on the matrix, and the matrix is crushing them now. It's confusing them. It's like, well, all a lot of the professors and the experts and the doctors and whatever it is, first you feel like you've been betrayed. You feel like you can't trust your governments anymore. Governments have betrayed the people. Corruption is living large more than it ever has been. People, the system that they're dependent on is crumbling in front of them, but falling apart, and they are falling apart with it. They are falling apart with it, and psychologically, they're falling apart with it. They're going down with all the immorality, with all the satanic worship that television and music is all about. They're going down with it, right? They've been played. They're like two moves away from checkmate, and it's inevitable, and there's nothing they can do about it. There's seriously nothing they can do about it. Most people, there's nothing they can do. They don't know what's coming. The people, for that, we don't know what's coming. We live in sometimes, like when I used to speak to friends of mine, a friend in particular, you might know who you are, living in a first world country, barely any crime, employment is like at 98%, fully functioning, fully running, fully, whatever it is, suicide rates through the roof, never the mind, whatever it is. But like, no, this world, that fantasy that it's okay, like inflation is okay, our economy is okay, like not realizing, hold on, there's so much to it. You're part of a whole world of change. Your food, is, the climate's changing. I really feel that it is. I don't know about climate change per se, but it's like, anyways, there's so much time. Time is speeding up. You don't have the time to do the things that you had before. You just don't have the time. So my friend is only looking at it from more of a functioning point of view, which is fine. But all of a sudden, lockdown. How much is your unemployment rate now? Australia, people used to say Australia versus South Africa. Australia, what's your unemployment rate now? What's your stress levels now? Right? How much do people trust each other, rely on each other when people have been tittle-tailing on one another, reporting each other for not, keeping by the rules and regulations or whatever it is? Oh, you don't feel comfortable sitting next to your neighbor anymore or your best friend anymore because he's carrying a virus, a deadly virus? Oh, really? And in how long? A few months? 6 months at max? And all of a sudden, all of it, do you understand? So we're living in our first world countries. I live in a third world country, but, and whatever it is, the electricity going, the water running, the TV's on. We got our laundries. I mean, we got our washing machines. We got our dishwashers. We got our tumble dryers. We got our air cons. We go to the shops. We pick up the food from off the shelves, or we just order in, or something like that. We have Netflix. We have unlimited Wi-Fi, data, internet connection around the world. Baby, it's sweet. It's a sweet deal. It's a sweet deal. And realizing we have no idea how unsustainable it all is. And not only just how unsustainable it all is, but how psychologically unsustainable we are. And we screwed. We're absolutely screwed. For majority are absolutely screwed. There is no coming back to this. There is no returning to, like, where people say, whew, okay, fine, the CV's over. We all, let's say, took a vaccine or something like that, and we're all okay now. Let's just go back. There is no going back. There hasn't been for probably the last, I don't know, 60 years or something like that. There is no going back. There will be no time, no space for people to catch their breaths. Novelty is breaking through. There will be no space, no time, no opportunity whatsoever to even think or fathom about what possibly might be going on and how to even prepare for the future. Absolutely nothing. And that's just what it is. And I don't understand this. I don't understand, is this because we deserve it? Is this because humanity fell asleep at the wheel? Is this because of our own individual, the consequences of our own individual actions? Is it because we deserve it? I don't know these things. I don't know. When I look at my one brother, and I could look at either of my brothers, but and I look at him, and his life is so overwhelmed. And he just followed in the footsteps that he was told to by my father. He got married at a young age. He didn't have time to figure himself out. Very much a people pleaser, trying to please everybody in his life. No healthy boundaries, whatever it is. But he's spread so thin, and his life is in just such chaos. And I think to myself, he's really a good guy. Does he deserve this? Look, I don't know if he knows what he's really in. I think he does at times, to certain degrees. But does he deserve this? Does he deserve having to try and have an old school type of lifestyle in this kind of new world order type of thing? Like, is it possible for him? Like, it's impossible. His children haven't gone to school for I don't know how many months. I mean, it's just too overwhelming. He just recently immigrated because this country, the crime rate is ridiculous. It's, your children have got no future here in this country, or whatever. This country's got no future. They're burning the farms. They're burning the farms in the Free State. They're murdering the farmers every single day. It's ridiculous what's going on here. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And so we are not prepared. I'm saying, so I don't know if it's because we individually decided. Was it the powers that be that led us into this? We don't know. I don't know these things. But nonetheless, it is what it is. It is what it is. And so for myself, it's not getting any better. It's not going to get any better. But as on the alternative side, as there must be as much dark as there is light, the lightness is in the conscious individual side, I feel. The individual who's conscious in the heart space, I think those of us, his consciousness is expanding tenfold now. The heart space is expanding, at such a magnitude like we could never imagine. There's small pockets that I feel that are part of this evolution, right? And that are growing immensely, but it's immensely painful. It's immensely scary. It's immensely sometimes despairing. But despairing is not a bad thing. Have a look at the video by Academy of Life about the gift or the greatness of despair. Something like that. It's their latest video. Soren Kierkegaard. And it's overwhelming. And it's like, that's why I try and say that, I've lost out. I've lost out on so much in this life. I've lost out so much. There's no question about it. And I've lost out on family. I've lost out on friendship. I've lost out on having children. I've lost out on, on so much. And there is, in that particular area, there's much I've gained, at the same time. But have to accept that for the time that we're in, the sacrifices that we are making for the time that we are in. It's very hard. This is a very hard point. But the sacrifices that we are making to be alive in the times that we're in now. You know? So think about your own sacrifices and try and come to peace with them and try and accept them and try and surrender to them. Very, very hard to do. Very hard to do. You know? Because there's a lot of resistance. So that's it, folks. I think like there is light happening, breaking through at the seams, you know. And I don't know, I still feel that there will be some kind of peace on this earth, but it won't be a real peace. You know, I think it will be that's for another story, but I still feel like, again, a Messiah figure that will bring peace to this world, the illusion of peace and order to this world. I feel that, and that will be very interesting, and maybe then people will, I don't know what that will be about actually, but that's another whole, I mean, we live in a mystery. But yeah, folks, so surrendering to the I'm saying embracing the sacrifices that's needed to take place in order for our own. You see that noise that's going on now? It's telling me, okay, enough's enough. Sign off now. You know, you've spoken for too long. You've got to get going. That's how I interpret it, you know. Don't know if you can hear that noise, but it's there. I think it's the neighbors with a machine there, when it's, you know, every now and again. Okay, folks. So you know, I think that's kind of what I'm saying, and so I don't know. I don't know what's to come for the conscious individual. Maybe we go down with the ship. I don't know. Maybe we still coexist on this planet with everybody else for the next 10, 20 years until our time's up or so. I don't know what's to happen, or maybe we do evolve into another dimension. Maybe we are rescued by some kind of extraterrestrial sort of, our brothers or sisters from, the other dimensions. Who knows what's to take place and what's to happen. I mean, it's far out. Even that idea is so far out. It's like sort of absolutely bewildering and sort of sometimes, it's just, anyways. So I don't know, time will tell, but for myself, it's every day. Every day, I just need to sort of face the music and be like, okay, just make it through this day. It seems like it is. You are being sort of, it's getting claustrophobic. Like you're in this vase every day, and it gets tougher and tougher. And you're going to realize it's for much, much more for a greater good. All right, folks. We'll end off on that for now. We'll chat soon. Take care.